Hi, this is Chris Cornell of Soundgarden. My Wave Up was one of the last songs we wrote, and it was one of those songs written in a room, kind of, where we're just standing there rehearsing something and probably tired or bored, and it was at the end of the day, and I just started playing that riff on the guitar. And it's one of those things that happens with bands where everyone is self-conscious. Every individual member is afraid of the other three and what they'll think and how they'll respond, because it's tough when your ideas get shot down or sniffed at. And so sometimes you'll have those moments where someone will play something and you notice everyone's ears kind of prick up, and then you know that you've already won, that this is going to be a song. And so I just started playing that riff and everyone started playing to it. And I thought, okay, this is a win. This is going to be a great song because obviously all four of us like it. And so then I think I went home and wrote lyrics and we arranged it, and that was that. And it was one of those under the wire sort of last minute songs. I think we were in LA, maybe driving somewhere, and it occurred to me that on the freeway in LA, you saw a lot of stretch limos, and in Seattle you never saw any, and if you did see one, you would look at it and think prom night or this guy's an asshole, or, it was one of the two, and it just seemed strange to me, and I was noticing how many there were, and I imagined, and I kind of had a disdain for it and a dislike for it, and I was imagining them kind of smashing into each other. I was imagining them racing each other, and then I was imagining, like, if it's all just limos, there'll be these accidents all day long, only it'll be people in stretched limos, and how silly will that be? And then when I was writing the lyrics, it became more of a kind of a judgmental approach to how we perceive ourselves in humanity and what's really going on. What's really going on is we're just these little ants that get swept away by nature and circumstance anytime it occurs to us. But we spend every day somehow successfully convincing ourselves that we're in charge. And I had that notion. I don't know how long I had that idea for a song, but when Matt brought the music in, it immediately clicked with me that was the music for that idea. And I think the melody and the lyrics were written really, really quickly. I think that song just clicked immediately. Fell on Black Days had a pretty long history too. It was a little bit similar in that I had this notion of what I wanted to say with the title, and the title probably came first, before I even knew what the words were. But the idea was that this is this universal situation that we all have, where everyone's lives go through periods of good and bad and positive and negative, and I don't think that we can necessarily predict one or the other is going to happen. You might get married and imagine this next several years of bliss, even if you're realistic and you think it might not last forever. And then immediately, somehow you're waking up and realizing that not only is it not like this positive direction, but it's a negative one, and you didn't see it coming, and you couldn't have ever predicted it. And the idea of the song is that the singer is just sort of discovering it. And everything was great, and suddenly it's not, and no one thing happened. There wasn't a car accident. You weren't diagnosed with cancer. Your best friend didn't die. Nothing. You just suddenly realize you're not content and you're not happy. And I just noticed that in everyone I knew, and certainly myself. And so then set about trying to put that in a song. And I think I wrote one or two versions musically, neither of which worked. And I think the band and I wrote one or two versions musically, and I think we liked all of them. But none of them ever ended up being on a record. And then in writing songs for Superunknown, it just kind of happened one day. And it happened, I think, so fast that I don't even really specifically remember. I just remember the notion and then sort of the end result and feeling, oh, finally, this is the song it was supposed to be. I felt like that was in good contrast to sort of the notion of a pop single, which was how it was rolling out. You know, it's like, oh, they're going to make this a pop single. Well, let's do something that contrasts it. One of those two songs was sort of relating to an acid trip, but I won't say which one. Superunknown was a song written kind of and demoed for no reason. It was for fun, really. It was based on this fictitious tape cassette solo release for a character in the movie Singles, and it was Matt Dillon's character, and Cameron had written in this part where he creates like a 4-track demo of songs that he's writing at home, like a solo tape, and it was based on a few of us in Seattle that would do that. We would make these sort of solo, weird, experimental 4-track things at home for fun. And I remember Andy Wood would actually put them in record stores. He'd just give them to the guys and have them, put it under the glass, and they would sell it or give it away or whatever. And so Jeff Ament from Pearl Jam came up with titles because he was doing graphic art stuff for the film, and he came up with the titles. And the package, and it was just this fictitious cassette package. And I saw it on the set of the movie and read the titles, and they were all really compelling. There was one of them was Missing, one of them was Flutter Girl, one of them was Seasons, and one of them was Spoon Man. And then I had this idea of, wouldn't it be fun to actually write those songs based on those titles and record them, on a 4-track, or in that case, it was like an 8-track reel-to-reel. And so I did it over the course of a couple days, and Spoon Man was one of them. And the original demo is pretty much the same thing. It's all the same parts, but it's acoustic guitars, nothing electric. I don't know if there's bass on it or not. And the section where there's spoons on the Superunknown version, I just hit pots and pans with like wooden spoons, and it was just kind of funny. But it was one of those songs that bounced around. And when we were talking about songs for the next record, I think everybody brought that up as saying this could be a Soundgarden song. This would be great. It's even though it's acoustic guitar, it's a huge riff, and let's try it. And it worked. I think that song had. It's like Limo Wreck or 4th of July, in that even though it was a single, it didn't become like a radio hit. It kind of got ignored, as singles go. And then we didn't play it live a lot. It was difficult to play live. I couldn't sing it and play it that well. And over the course of, the next decade after we split up, it had legs. People started to really like it. And request it to where now, it's one of those ones we kind of have to play. And I'd have a lot of people coming up to me and, from all walks of life saying how that song meant something to them. I suppose I kind of liken it to Rowing on King Animal, where it's one of those songs that it struck kind of a universal chord, and it has its own life. Yeah, kind of coming out. And the lyrics sort of based on the title, Kickstand, which was not my idea, and I can't remember whose idea it was. We were just sort of describing the song, what it sounded like. And someone threw out that title, and then I just sort of, based on the description, wrote some kind of nonsense lyrics to it. And there's some element of John Lennon in my lyrics often, where it's like come together in a sense, just kind of writing lyrics that support the mood of the music and creating this kind of image and a sort of a fiction that probably only I see. But that's what I was related to that, like kind of John Lennon and the Beatles, when he would get super whimsical lyrically and but at the same time be really into it,